Admiral Caxthor stood on the bridge of his massive warship and looked out at the stars. For 300 years the galaxy had been peaceful. 3 great alien races worked together to keep order among the countless worlds and species scattered across space. The Kethavar Empire had the best technology. Their ships could bend space and time. Their weapons could destroy entire planets with a single shot. They were proud of their science and looked down on less advanced races. The Velnari collective could read minds and speak without words. They used their mental powers to stop fights before they started. Most aliens feared them because they could control thoughts and emotions. The Thorgan Republic had the strongest military. Their soldiers were born for war. Their ships were built like flying fortresses. They believed that strength was the only thing that mattered in the universe. Caxthor was a Thorgan admiral. His job was to patrol the outer edges of known space with ships from all 3 races. It was easy work. Most of the time, they only dealt with small groups of pirates or primitive aliens who had just learned to travel between stars. Today felt like any other day. Caxthor's fleet had 47 ships spread across several star systems. The Kethvar destroyers moved like silver fish through space. The Velnari cruisers glowed with strange purple energy. The Thorgan dreadnoughts looked like giant metal hammers ready to smash anything that got in their way. Lieutenant Vorpak ran up to Caxthor with a data tablet in his clawed hands. "Sir, we have found something interesting." Caxthor took the tablet and looked at the information. His scanner teams had detected radio waves coming from a small yellow star. The signals were weak and simple. They showed pictures and sounds from a world where creatures called themselves humans. "What do we know about this species?" Caxthor asked. "They are very primitive, sir," Vorpak replied. "They have only reached their closest moon. Their weapons use chemical explosives. Their fastest ships would take thousands of years to reach the nearest star." Caxthor laughed. He had seen hundreds of species like this. They would spend centuries trying to figure out faster-than-light travel. Most of them would destroy themselves with wars or pollution before they became a real threat to anyone. "File a standard report," he ordered. "Mark them as non-threatening. We will check on them again in 500 years. What Caxthor did not know was that humans had been watching his ships for a long time. Deep underground on Earth, Dr. Amanda Pierce worked in a secret laboratory. She was a thin woman with gray hair who had spent 20 years studying alien technology. Next to her stood General Jake Morrison, a tall man with scars on his face from old battles. "The alien patrol is moving away from our system," Amanda said as she watched her computer screens. "They think we are still primitive." Jake nodded. "Good. How much longer do we need?" 6 months, maybe less," Amanda replied. "We have almost finished copying their shield technology. Our new ships will be ready soon." The secret had started 30 years ago when an alien scout ship crashed in the Pacific Ocean. The crash was covered up by world governments. The alien pilot was dead, but his ship was full of amazing technology that humans had never seen before. Scientists from every nation worked together to understand the alien machines. They learned how to travel faster than light. They discovered new types of energy and materials. Most importantly, they realized that Earth was not alone, and that some aliens might not be friendly. While alien patrols thought humans were still playing with rockets and satellites, Earth had already built 300 warships. They were hidden in asteroid belts behind moons and in deep space where alien sensors could not find them. Captain Lisa Park commanded one of these hidden ships. She was a former fighter pilot who now led the crew of the Earth defense ship Defiance. Her ship looked nothing like the smooth alien vessels. It was angular and dark, built for war rather than beauty. Lisa floated in zero gravity as she checked her ship's weapons: railguns that could fire metal slugs at incredible speed, missile pods loaded with nuclear warheads, laser systems that could cut through alien armor. Everything was designed to hit hard and fast. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Ryan Hayes from his station, "we are picking up alien transmissions. They are talking about sending a diplomatic ship to make contact with us." Lisa smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Let them come. It is time." The galaxy learned what humans can do. Back on Caxthor's flagship, the Thorgan admiral was finishing his daily report to the Zephyrian Council. The council was made up of representatives from all the major alien races. They made decisions for the entire galaxy. Sector 7749 remains quiet, Caxthor dictated to his computer. No pirate activity detected. One primitive species found in the Sol system. Humans show no signs of advanced technology. Recommendation: monitor in 5 centuries. He sent the report and went to his quarters to rest. In a few hours, his fleet would jump to hyperspace and continue their patrol route. It was boring work, but it paid well and kept the peace. None of the aliens realized that their peaceful galaxy was about to change forever. The humans they had dismissed as primitive were already preparing for war. Earth's children had learned to hide in the darkness between stars, waiting for the right moment to show the galaxy what they could do. The calm before the storm was almost over. Soon, the nightmare from Earth would begin. 2 years passed since Admiral Caxthor first discovered the humans. During that time, something strange began happening in the Sol system. The alien monitoring stations picked up energy readings that made no sense. The humans were supposed to be using simple nuclear power. Instead, the sensors detected controlled fusion reactions and exotic matter manipulation. These were technologies that took most species centuries to develop. On the Zephyrian Council Station, Ambassador Yelandra studied the reports with growing concern. She was a tall, blue-skinned Velnari with large dark eyes that could see into minds. Her people were known for their wisdom and peaceful nature. "This cannot be correct," she said to her assistant. "The humans were classified as primitive just 2 years ago." Her assistant, a young Velnari named Telmor, nodded nervously. "The readings are verified, Ambassador. They show technology levels that should be impossible for such a young species." Yelandra made a decision. "Prepare the diplomatic vessel Harmony's Light. I will personally make contact with these humans. Perhaps there has been some mistake." She believed that first contact should always be handled with care and respect. The Velnari had made this mistake before with other species, and it usually led to fear and violence. At the edge of the Sol system, Captain Lisa Park waited aboard her ship Defiance. Her sensors had detected the approaching alien vessel days ago. Unlike the massive warships that patrolled the galaxy, this ship was smaller and painted in peaceful white colors. Lisa was a short woman with brown hair and sharp green eyes. She had been born on a military base and trained as a fighter pilot, before becoming one of Earth's first starship captains. She did not trust aliens, especially after learning what they had done to other primitive species in the past. "Captain, the alien ship is requesting communication," reported Lieutenant Ryan Hayes from his station. Ryan was a former Special Forces soldier who had seen terrible things during Earth's last Great War. His hand shook slightly as he worked at his controls. "Open a channel," Lisa ordered. "Let us see what they want." The main screen flickered to life, showing Ambassador Yelandra standing in a beautiful ship filled with soft lights and growing plants. She smiled warmly and raised her hand in what humans would recognize as a peaceful greeting. "Greetings, people of Earth," Yelandra said in perfect English. Her people were gifted with languages and could learn any tongue quickly. "I am Ambassador Yelandra of the Velnari Collective. We come in peace to welcome you to the galactic community." Lisa stood up from her captain's chair. Behind her, the bridge of the Defiance looked nothing like the alien ship. It was dark and functional, with weapons controls and battle screens everywhere. "Welcome to our system, Ambassador," Lisa replied carefully. "What do you want from us?" "We wish only to establish friendly relations," Yelandra said. "Your species has shown remarkable progress in recent years. We would like to understand how you have advanced so quickly." As she spoke, Yelandra did what came naturally to her people. She reached out with her mind to sense the emotions and thoughts of the humans. It was a normal part of Velnari communication, like reading body language, but Lieutenant Ryan Hayes felt the mental touch like ice water in his brain. His military training kicked in immediately. Someone was trying to get inside his head, just like the enemy interrogators had done when he was captured years ago. "Captain," Ryan shouted, his voice filled with panic. "She's in my head. They're trying to read our minds." Lisa spun around to see Ryan pulling out his sidearm, his face twisted with fear and rage. Other crew members were reaching for their weapons too, feeling the same mental intrusion. "It's an attack," Ryan screamed. "They're trying to control us." On the alien ship, Yolanda realized her mistake too late. She tried to withdraw her mental probe, but the damage was already done. The humans thought she was attacking them. "Wait," she called out. "This is a misunderstanding. We mean no harm." But Lisa had already made her decision. These aliens were trying to invade the minds of her crew. That was an act of war. "All stations, battle alert," she commanded. "Target their engines and weapons. We are going to disable that ship." The Defiance moved with deadly grace. Its railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speed, moving so fast they were almost impossible to see. The projectiles slammed into the Harmony's light like invisible hammers. The alien ship had shields, but they were designed to stop energy weapons and plasma beams. The solid metal slugs punched right through them as if they were made of paper. Sparks flew from damaged systems as the diplomatic vessel began to spin out of control. "Impossible," Yolanda whispered as she picked herself up from the floor. "No primitive species should have weapons like this." Captain Lisa opened communication again. Her face was hard and cold. "Ambassador, you will shut down all your systems and prepare to be boarded. Any attempt to use your mental powers on my crew will result in the destruction of your ship." Yolanda had no choice but to comply. She watched in amazement as human soldiers in strange armor flew across space from the Defiance to her ship. They moved like warriors who had been fighting all their lives. The boarding party was led by Sergeant Mike Torres, a tough man with scars on his arms from old battles. His soldiers carried weapons that fired metal bullets instead of energy beams. Their armor was thick and angular, designed for war rather than exploration. "Secure the bridge," Torres ordered his men. "Check every room for threats." When Torres reached the bridge, he found Yolanda standing alone with her hands raised. She was trembling, not from fear, but from the emotions she was sensing from the human soldiers. These beings felt different from any species she had encountered before. "You fight like predators," she said quietly, like creatures who are used to being hunted. Torres looked at her with suspicious eyes. "Lady, where we come from, if you don't fight hard, you die, and we don't plan on dying today." Back on her ship, Captain Lisa was already sending a message to Earth Command. The aliens had tried to attack her crew with mental weapons. This was exactly what Earth's leaders had feared would happen. General Jake Morrison received the report at the hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. He immediately sent orders to all human ships throughout the solar system. "All vessels, this is command." His voice echoed through space. "First contact has gone hostile. Prepare for alien retaliation. Assume all alien ships are enemy vessels, until further notice." Ambassador Yolanda was taken to the Defiance as a prisoner. As she sat in the ship's holding cell, she tried to understand what had gone wrong. Her people were peaceful. They had never meant to frighten the humans, but she could still feel the emotions of the crew around her. These humans were not like other species. They expected betrayal. They prepared for the worst. They fought like their entire race depended on every battle. For the first time in her long life, Yolanda began to fear what would happen when the galaxy learned about the humans. These beings would not simply accept their place in the established order. They would fight for their independence no matter the cost. The first contact between humans and aliens had ended in violence and misunderstanding. Soon, the peaceful galaxy would discover what happened when you tried to intimidate the children of Earth. News of Ambassador Yolandra's capture spread through the galactic communication networks like wildfire. The Zephyrian Council met in emergency session to discuss what had happened in the Sol system. "This is unacceptable," declared Counselor Vexara of the Kethvar Empire. His metallic voice echoed through the great chamber. "A primitive species has attacked a diplomatic vessel. They must be taught their place." Admiral Caxthor stood before the council, feeling embarrassed and angry. His report about harmless humans had been proven completely wrong. "Give me a proper fleet," he requested. "I will show these humans what happens when they challenge galactic law." The council agreed quickly. They had dealt with rebellious species before. Usually a show of force was enough to make them surrender. Admiral Caxthor was given 47 warships from all three major races. Bring enough firepower to destroy their entire system if necessary, Councillor Vexara ordered, but try to capture some of them alive. We need to understand how they advanced so quickly. 3 weeks later, Admiral Caxthor's fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. His ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons powered up and shields at full strength. He expected to find a few dozen primitive human vessels hiding near their home planet. Instead, his sensors detected something impossible. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "I count over 300 human ships. They are emerging from asteroid belts, moon bases, and the outer planets." Caxthor stared at his display screen in shock. The human ships looked different from anything he had seen before. They were dark and angular, built for war rather than exploration. Some were as large as his own dreadnoughts. "How is this possible?" he whispered. 2 years ago they barely had spacecraft. On the human flagship Retribution, Commander Sarah Blake studied the alien formation through her tactical displays. Sarah was a calm woman with short black hair who had once commanded submarines in Earth's oceans. She understood how to fight enemies who thought they were superior. "All ships, this is command," she spoke into her communication system. "Remember your training. Hit hard, hit fast, and never give them time to think." The alien sent a message demanding immediate surrender. Caxthor's voice boomed across space. "Humans of Earth, you have committed acts of war against the galactic community. Surrender now and you will be treated fairly." Sarah's response was simple. "Go to hell." The battle began with the aliens using their traditional tactics. They fired energy beams and plasma bolts from long range, expecting their superior shields and weapons to overwhelm the primitive humans quickly. The human response was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Nick Torres commanded the destroyer Relentless, a ship half the size of the alien cruisers but twice as fast. Instead of staying at long range, he accelerated his ship directly toward the enemy formation. "All crew to escape pods," Nick ordered his people. "Set the reactor to overload in 60 seconds. His crew quickly evacuated to specially designed combat pods that could continue fighting even after leaving their ship. Nick stayed behind to guide the Relentless on its final mission. The alien commanders watched in horror as the human ship rammed directly into a Kethvar cruiser. Both vessels exploded in a ball of nuclear fire, but the human escape pods immediately began attacking nearby alien ships with their own weapons. "They are insane," breathed Caxthor. "No civilized species fights like this." But the ramming attack was just the beginning. Major Kate Sullivan led boarding parties from the assault ship Warrior toward the alien vessels. Her soldiers wore thick armor that could survive in the vacuum of space. They carried weapons that fired metal bullets instead of energy beams. Kate herself was a former Marine who had fought in every major conflict on Earth. She was short and muscular, with scars on her face from old battles. To her, fighting aliens was no different from fighting human enemies. "Remember," she told her soldiers, as they prepared to board an alien ship, "they might have better technology, but they have never fought anyone like us." The human boarding pods smashed through the alien ship's hull like bullets through glass. Kate's Marines poured into the corridors, moving with deadly efficiency. The alien crew had never faced hand-to-hand combat before. They panicked and ran. Within minutes, Kate's team had captured the ship's bridge. She personally threw the alien captain out of his command chair and took control of his vessel's weapons. "This is Sullivan," she reported over the radio. "Target acquired, turning their guns on their own fleet." The captured alien ship began firing on its former allies, adding to the chaos of the battle. Other human boarding parties were doing the same thing throughout the enemy formation. Admiral Caxthor watched his carefully organized fleet fall apart in less than an hour. The humans fought without any regard for the rules of civilized warfare. They rammed ships, boarded vessels, and used weapons that should have been illegal. "Sir, we have lost over half our ships," his tactical officer reported with panic in his voice. "The humans are using our own vessels against us. Captain Dave Wilson commanded the human cruiser Thunder, a massive ship armed with railguns that could punch holes through alien armor. He watched the alien fleet beginning to retreat and smiled grimly. "All ships pursue the enemy," he ordered. "Do not let them escape to warn their friends." The retreat became a massacre. Human ships chased the fleeing aliens across the solar system, destroying vessel after vessel. The aliens had never encountered an enemy that followed them when they tried to withdraw. Admiral Caxthor's flagship was one of the last ships to escape. As he jumped to hyperspace, he sent a desperate message to the Zephyrian Council. "The humans are not what we thought," he reported, his voice shaking with fear. "They do not fight like any civilized species. They fight like animals cornered in a trap. We need every ship in the galaxy to stop them." But even as his message traveled through space, human ships were already following his fleet's hyperspace trail. Captain Lisa Park commanded a squadron of stealth vessels that had been hidden throughout the battle. "Target the alien communication relays," she ordered her ships. "We cannot let them warn the rest of the galaxy about our true capabilities." The human attack ships struck alien outposts and relay stations throughout nearby systems. Within days, communication between the Outer Rim and the galactic core was completely cut off. On Earth, General Jake Morrison stood in the war room studying reports from the battle. His scientists had captured dozens of alien ships and hundreds of prisoners. They would learn everything about galactic technology and military tactics. Dr. Amanda Pierce joined him at the tactical display. "The aliens underestimated us completely," she said. "They expected us to fight like them with honor and rules. But we do not fight with honor," Jake replied coldly. "We fight to win, and now the galaxy is going to learn what that means." In the depths of space, human ships began spreading out from the Sol system like a dark plague. They had tasted victory against the galactic powers, and they wanted more. The peaceful galaxy had awakened a nightmare, and there was no putting it back to sleep. The news of Admiral Caxthor's defeat took weeks to reach the galactic core. When it finally arrived, the three major powers refused to believe it at first. A primitive species could not possibly destroy 47 advanced warships. Fleet Admiral Zarketh of the Kethvar Empire studied the battle reports in his crystal chamber. He was ancient even by Kethvar standards, with silver skin and glowing blue eyes that had seen 1,000 battles. This human victory made no sense to him. "Perhaps Caxthor was incompetent," suggested his aide, a younger Kethvar named Keltar. "No species advances from primitive to dangerous in just 2 years." Zarketh shook his metallic head. "I have known Caxthor for centuries. He is a good commander. Something else is happening here." Meanwhile, the Velnari collective was analyzing the mental impressions that Ambassador Yelandra had sent before her capture. The emotions she had felt from the human crew still haunted the psychic readers who examined her memories. "They think differently than any species we have encountered," reported mind reader Velson to the collective council. "They expect treachery from everyone. They prepare for the worst possible outcome in every situation." The Thorgan Republic was the most direct in their response. War Chief Gorthak slammed his massive fist on the council table, making the metal surface ring like a bell. "Words mean nothing," he growled through his tusked mouth. "These humans want a fight. We will give them a war they will never forget." The three powers quickly agreed to combine their fleets for a massive attack on the Sol system. Over 2,000 ships would strike together, carrying enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. It would be the largest military operation in galactic history. Fleet Admiral Zarketh took command of the combined force. His flagship Eternal Glory was the size of a small moon, armed with weapons that could crack planets in half. Around it flew the most advanced ships from 3 different civilizations. "This time we will not underestimate them," Zarketh announced to his commanders. "We will arrive in overwhelming force and end this rebellion quickly." But while the aliens spent months organizing their massive fleet, the humans were not sitting still. Hidden shipyards throughout the Sol system worked day and night to build new vessels. More importantly, human scientists had been studying captured alien technology. Dr. Amanda Pierce stood in her laboratory looking at a Kethvar energy weapon that her team had completely rebuilt. The alien device was elegant and efficient. But the human version was something else entirely. "We have increased the power output by 300%, she explained to General Jake Morrison. "The aliens designed their weapons to disable enemy ships. We designed ours to destroy them completely." General Morrison nodded approvingly. "What about their shield technology?" "We have something better," Amanda replied with a cold smile. "We have learned to make their shields work against them." The human war effort was led by Admiral Carol Bennett, a tall woman with gray hair who had once commanded aircraft carriers on Earth's oceans. She understood that winning a war required more than just superior weapons. "The aliens think in terms of honorable combat," she explained to her staff officers. "They expect us to meet them in open battle and fight according to their rules. We are going to do something completely different." General Marcus Webb, a scarred veteran of Earth's ground wars, agreed completely. "We hit them where they do not expect it. We make them afraid to trust their own technology." When the massive alien fleet finally arrived at the Sol system, they found exactly what they expected. Hundreds of human ships waited in formation around Earth, ready for a traditional space battle. What they did not expect was Captain Steve Logan's dreadnought Unbroken, which looked like any other human warship from the outside. But inside, Steve's ship carried a weapon that would change everything. Steve was a former submarine commander who understood the value of patience and surprise. He waited until the alien fleet was fully committed to their attack before revealing his secret. "All ships, this is Logan," he broadcast to the human fleet. "Execute Plan Nightmare." The Unbroken fired what looked like ordinary missiles toward the alien formation. But these were not explosive warheads. They were swarms of tiny machines smaller than insects, designed by human engineers who had studied captured alien technology. The nanobots spread through the alien fleet like an invisible plague. They were programmed to infiltrate enemy ships and rewrite their computer systems. Within hours, alien vessels began turning their weapons on each other. Fleet Admiral Zarketh watched in horror as his own ship started attacking his flagship. "What is happening?" he demanded of his technicians. "The humans have infected our systems," reported his chief engineer. "Our own computers are following their commands now, but the nanobots were just the beginning." Commander Amy Foster led a squadron of human stealth ships that had been invisible to alien sensors. Her vessels appeared throughout the enemy formation, like ghosts materializing from empty space. Amy was a former pilot who had learned to think 3 steps ahead of her. Enemies. Her ships carried weapons designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in alien technology that human scientists had discovered. "Target their command ships first," she ordered her squadron. "Cut off their ability to coordinate." The stealth ships fired strange weapons that passed right through alien shields as if they were not there. These weapons did not explode like normal missiles. Instead, they released electromagnetic pulses that shut down every electronic system they touched. Within minutes, the alien fleet's command structure collapsed. Ships that had fought together for centuries suddenly could not communicate with each other. Some vessels fled in panic while others fired randomly at anything that moved. Captain Bill Harper commanded the human destroyer Vengeance, which attacked an alien cruiser using tactics that made no sense to the enemy. Instead of trying to punch through the alien shields, Bill's ship grabbed onto the enemy vessel with magnetic clamps. "Bring us alongside," Bill ordered his crew. "We are going to board them the old-fashioned way. Human Marines in powered armor." Cut through the alien hull with plasma torches and poured into the enemy ship. The aliens had never faced soldiers who could fight in zero gravity and hard vacuum at the same time. Sergeant Tom Miller led the boarding party through the alien corridors. His men moved like they were born in space, using their armor's thrusters to fly around corners and attack from unexpected directions. "Remember," Tom told his soldiers, "these aliens have never fought anyone who was not afraid to die. Show them what human Marines can do." The battle lasted for 3 days, but the outcome was never in doubt. The humans fought with a combination of advanced technology and primitive brutality that the aliens could not counter. When it was over, less than 200 alien ships escaped from the original fleet of 2,000. Admiral Carol Bennett stood on the bridge of her flagship Freedom, watching the wreckage of the alien fleet drift through space. Her ships had Suffered losses too, but they had proven something important. Send a message to all human vessels, she ordered her communications officer. The galaxy is now open to us. Any alien ship that threatens human colonies will be destroyed without warning. General Marcus Webb joined her at the observation window. The aliens will never again think of us as primitive, he said with satisfaction. Good, Carol replied. Now they know what happens when you try to intimidate the children of Earth. But the human victory had consequences that neither side fully understood yet. Throughout the galaxy, other species had been watching the battles. Many of them had been conquered or oppressed by the three major powers for centuries. Now they saw that the galactic empires could be defeated. The nightmare from Earth was spreading, and it was giving hope to every species that had ever dreamed of freedom. The Zephyrian Council met in emergency session for the third time in 6 months. The great chamber that had once echoed with confident voices now felt cold and afraid. Reports poured in from across the galaxy of human ships appearing where they were least expected. Councillor Vexara of the Kethvar Empire stood before a holographic display showing the latest attacks. His metallic face showed cracks of stress that had not been there before the war began. 17 outposts destroyed in the outer rim, he reported to the assembled councillors. 23 supply convoys attacked. The humans are not trying to conquer territory. They are destroying our ability to control it. War Chief Gorthak of the Thorgan Republic slammed his fist on the table. Then we fight them ship to ship until one side is destroyed completely. With what ships? Demanded Councillor Yelthara of the Velnari Collective. Her mental voice carried waves of exhaustion and fear. We have lost over 3,000 vessels in 6 months. Our shipyards cannot replace them fast enough. The truth was that human tactics had completely broken the traditional rules of galactic warfare. Instead of fighting for planets or resources, human ships attacked military targets and then disappeared. They struck supply lines, communication networks, and isolated patrol fleets with surgical precision. Captain Peter Stone commanded the human deep space vessel Horizon, one of dozens of ships that roamed the galaxy looking for targets. Peter was a former merchant marine who knew how to navigate the dangerous spaces between star systems. Contact ahead, reported his sensor operator, Lieutenant Kelly Adams. 3 alien freighters with a single escort ship. Peter studied the tactical display. The convoy was carrying weapons and supplies to a Thorgan military base. Destroying it would weaken enemy forces without risking a major battle. All stop, he ordered. Launch the hunter pods. Small unmanned craft separated from the horizon and accelerated toward the alien convoy. Each pod carried enough explosive power to cripple a large ship. The aliens detected them too late to mount an effective defense. Within minutes, the convoy was destroyed. The Horizon collected the escape pods containing alien survivors and then jumped to hyperspace before enemy reinforcements could arrive. Log another successful raid, Peter told his crew. That makes 15 this month. But the human campaign was about more than just military victories. President Helen Carter of Earth prepared for the most important speech of her life. She was a former diplomat who understood that winning the war meant changing how the galaxy thought about power. "Are you ready, Madam President?" asked General Jake Morrison as they stood in the communication center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Helen nodded. "It is time the galaxy heard what we really want." The quantum transmission reached every inhabited world in known space. Alien leaders who had been fighting the humans for months finally heard directly from Earth's government. Helen appeared on screens throughout the galaxy, flanked by Admiral Carol Bennett and General Marcus Webb. Behind them stood representatives from dozens of species that had been contacted by human exploration teams. "People of the galaxy," Helen began, her voice calm but firm. "For centuries, your leaders have maintained peace through the threat of overwhelming force. They have decided which species deserved freedom and which should remain primitive. That era is now over." The reaction from the major powers was immediate and angry. Councillor Vexara tried to interrupt the transmission, but human technology had proven impossible to block. "The humans do not understand galactic law," he broadcast, on his own emergency channel. They are destroying the order that has kept peace for 300 years. But Helen continued her speech without pause. We do not seek to rule the galaxy. We seek to ensure that no species ever again faces the choice between submission and extinction. The age of galactic empires is finished. Throughout the galaxy, representatives of smaller species watched with growing excitement. The Zephyrian Council had suppressed or ignored hundreds of civilizations for centuries. Now they saw a chance for something different. Captain Sarah Blake commanded a human task force that made contact with the Ryloth Coalition, a group of species that had been forced to serve the Kethvar Empire for 200 years. Their leader, an insect-like being named Clactor, met with Sarah aboard her flagship. You really mean to free us from the empires? Clactor asked through his translation device. Sarah nodded. We will provide ships and weapons to any species that wants to defend itself, but you must be willing to fight for your own freedom. Within weeks, rebellions broke out on dozens of worlds. Species that had been conquered long ago suddenly remembered what independence meant. The Kethvar, Velnari, and Thorgan forces found themselves fighting wars on hundreds of fronts at once. The breaking point came when the Velnari collective attempted to use their mental powers to control the thoughts of rebellious populations. Human ships appeared over their capital world within hours. Admiral Carol Bennett personally led the fleet that surrounded the Velnari homeworld. Her message to their government was simple and direct. Any attempt to control the minds of free beings will result in the complete destruction of your military forces, she announced. Choose now whether you want to join the new galactic order or be removed from it. The Velnari Council surrendered without firing a shot. 5 years after the first battle in the Sol system, the galaxy had been completely transformed. The old empires still existed, but they no longer controlled the fate of other species. A new confederation had been formed with representatives from over 200 worlds. Admiral Caxthor stood on the bridge of the joint vessel New Dawn, watching human and alien crews working together. He had been one of the first alien officers to join the Galactic Defense Force, the military organization that protected smaller species from aggression. His aide, a young human named Lieutenant Matt Cooper, approached with the daily reports. Sir, we have received requests for assistance from 3 more species in the Outer Rim. Caxthor took the reports and studied them carefully. These were civilizations that the old council would have ignored or exploited. Now they would receive protection and the chance to develop freely. Prepare a response fleet, he ordered. We will show them that the galaxy has changed. In his private quarters that night, Caxthor recorded his thoughts in his personal log. The humans called us nightmares, he dictated to his computer. But we were the ones living in darkness, believing that strength alone gave us the right to rule over others. He paused, looking out at the stars through his window. Human and alien ships flew in formation outside, patrolling space that had once belonged to the empires. The humans did not conquer us, he continued. They woke us up from a dream of superiority that had become a nightmare for everyone else. Perhaps that is the most terrifying thing they could have done. On Earth, Dr. Amanda Pierce stood in the observatory of humanity's first orbital city. She watched ships from dozens of species arriving and departing on missions throughout the galaxy. Her people had become the galaxy's guardians, not through conquest but through the simple refusal to accept injustice. A young aide approached her with a question. Dr. Pierce, the Galactic Council wants to know if we will accept a permanent seat as the primary defense force. Amanda smiled as she looked out at the stars. Tell them we will do our duty, but remind them that the moment we stop protecting the weak, we become the very thing we fought to destroy. The nightmare from Earth had ended, replaced by something the galaxy had never known before, the dream of freedom for all who desired it.